Hello and welcome to the Room of Randomness. So here's something I kinda didn't think I'd ever say. High on Life 2 came out recently. Well, between the original game's mixed reception, the arrest of its creative lead, and the fact that it just kind of fizzled out, I just didn't think there was any real interest in a sequel. Fair. Anyway, this game takes place about 5 years after the first. You, the bounty hunter, have now become famous across the universe for defeating the G3 cartel and saving humanity, who are now being integrated into galactic society. However, it's not all just fan events and publicity stunts. While you work as essentially a hero for hire, your sister Lizzie has joined an Avalanche-style freedom fighter group and takes her work a little too far, earning herself a bounty. I guess that explains her absence in High on Knife, but it's a little confused if I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, by trying to save her from other bounty hunters, you end up breaking the bounty hunter's code, which states that bounty hunters can't kill each other. As a consequence, you are no longer an official bounty hunter and labeled an outlaw, gaining a bounty twice as big as Lizzie's.
You really shouldn't have betrayed us.
So what has Lizzie been up to? Well, apparently a company called Rhea Pharmaceuticals is planning to use humans as an active ingredient in their latest drug. So now the plan is to take out the various bigwigs trying to make that happen in hopes of getting to Rhea's mysterious CEO before they can convince the Galactic Supreme Court to recategorize humans as a livestock species. And that's kinda it. The story of this game is a lot more straightforward this time around. Where I felt the first game mixed the stop the bad guys plot with a nice found family story, this game feels like it just focuses on stopping the bad guys. An argument can be made that family is a theme that exists throughout this game, but it's not really what it's about, if that makes sense. Also, minor spoiler warning, something that just personally bothers me is that midway through the game you run into this mysterious bounty hunter who has a personal vendetta against you for leaving them behind. And while I won't say who it actually is, I'm annoyed it's not Kenny. I stated in our first review that I felt Kenny's unceremonious departure from the story was just a bad decision, especially given the stupid reason that Squanch Games apparently didn't want to risk doing a bad job on recasting the character. But for fuck's sake, just get Harry Belden to voice him! He's doing a fantastic job as Morty, and it's literally the same voice. Because, you know, Justin Roiland kinda only has 3 voices. Or hell, just do the Solar Opposites thing and give him a comedically different voice. I don't know. I guess it just really bothers me that they just hand-waved the departure of one of the main characters. At least when South Park killed their Kenny, and, you know, made it stick for a bit, it was an actual plot point for a while. Regardless, while I do think the story is a bit weaker than the first game, I do think that otherwise the writing is better. It's still got that really out-there sense of humor that makes Rick and Morty entertaining, but, I imagine due to Roiland's absence, there's far less of a reliance on rambly annoyance and gross-out/shock humor. It's still there, don't get me wrong, but they don't take from that well nearly as often. But of course, the biggest mark of whether or not this is a good sequel is if they improved on the gameplay. Gus, Sweezy, and Knifey all return as your starting loadout, and all work about the same as they did before. Creature now gives you the ability to direct his children with a laser pointer, which I thought was a great update, but then they seem to have nerfed his mind control shot, as I found it nowhere near as useful for dealing with bigger enemies as it was before. The ball is back, and whoo boy am I mixed on it. Not the gun itself, as I still think it's still as needlessly complicated to use as it was in High on Knife. My confliction comes in the fact that you have to get it by completing a series of side quests that make you jump through a few hoops to even get to them. On the one hand, if you're like me and don't like this weapon, you don't have to get it. On the other hand, for what they make you do to get this damn thing, I want a better reward. Fortunately, you're not just limited to the first game's weapons. There are a few new faces to rip alien asses with. First is Travis, who is literally just Kenny and Harper. In fact, the only reason why you don't get Harper is because Lizzie took her. Because girl power, I guess? Okay, yeah, Travis is more of the same, and honestly, out of the 3, personality-wise, he's kind of the worst. But things do get better when you get his wife, Jan, because now you're dual-wielding pistols, and it's awesome. The amount of carnage you can pull off is insane. Honestly, when I got each of these 2, I thought I was gonna fall right back into using them exclusively. But to my surprise, I also made good use of the other new weapons. You got Sheath, a powerful rifle, and Bowie. Take a wild freaking guess. Actually, I'm really surprised that I enjoyed using Bowie as much as I did, as, let's just say I don't like playing Hawkeye in Marvel Rivals. I think part of that is that this game not so much requires you to use other weapons, but definitely encourages it more. In the first game, you got a new gun as a reward for beating a boss, and after a brief tutorial, I basically only used them for the traversal abilities. In this game, however, you get a new weapon midway into a mission, and the latter half is built around using the new weapon not just for traversal and puzzle solving, but also in combat. While I still defaulted to Jan and Travis, I was far more likely to switch weapons in this game than I was in the first. But there are even more tools at your disposal. The first I can't really say the name of without spoilers, but it's essentially the gravity gun from Half-Life, where you pick up physics objects and dead enemies and use them as projectiles. Kinda unrelated, but they even make a Half-Life joke in this game.
We could make a third game, or something else entirely. What if we made Half-Life 3? I bet that's allowed, right? Valve's not doing it. Why not us? Why don't we make Half-Life 3? Squanch Games, Half-Life 3, coming next year. We're gonna make it in 1 year, really quick.
Me. However, I didn't include this amongst the guns because while it's introduced as one, immediately after that mission it becomes part of your suit and you can use it without having to equip it. Which honestly was the better move. While a bit more fun, I likely would have considered it just another ball weapon if it was its own gun. And last as far as weaponry is Jeppy. This little guy is your half-brother. Anyway, you build up his meter in combat, and when it fills, you can send him out to wreak havoc on your enemies. While I like the concept, I didn't really use him all that much. And last, but most certainly not least, is the skateboard. Gotta be honest, given the quite frankly half-baked skateboard minigame that the first game had, I was skeptical. But holy hell does this thing make traversal in this game so much more fun than the damn boost pack in the first game. Supposedly you can also use it in combat, but I personally found it difficult to move around on this thing while still keeping enemies in my sight. But to be fair, I played this game on PS5, and I feel like using a mouse and keyboard would make this a lot easier. Speaking of hardware, while my game ran pretty well all things considered, for some reason activating the skate challenges had like a 70% chance of making the game crash. And while I'm bitching about skateboard related stuff, the customization. Now, make no mistake, there is an extensive amount of decks you can choose from, as well as wheels, trucks, grip tape, and there are even multiple costumes. However, why are they here? If this game was in third person or had a multiplayer mode, I'd have zero problem with this, but as is, no one is ever gonna see these cosmetics. At best, you may be able to see the sleeves on your costume, but that's it. The only cosmetics that are worth a damn are the select few for your guns, because you know, you can actually see them! But to end things on a slightly more positive note, the post-game is better here. Instead of having to trek through every nook and cranny of the game's levels to try to find anything, here all the collectibles and stuff you care about are in the 3 hub worlds. It's just less annoying. Overall, while not a perfect game and still definitely an acquired taste, High on Life 2 is a pretty good sequel. Here's hoping Half on Life 3 is even better. I'm the reviewer, this has been The Room of Randomness.
Come on, you paid for the game, you might as well play all of it. Or did you get it for free with some deal? One of those game services, huh?
Hey now, I paid full price for this game. It was the first game I got for free.